Howdy folks, old Magic here. Today I wanted to share with you a occult experiment that you can do at home. Um, I use this process in something else in my practice. And I've been doing it for so long, I technically forgot where I got it from. So I was going through all my Book of Shadows because I'm planning on condensing all of them into one. And I found written in one of my, I think it was my first Book of Shadows. It was from the 90s, so I must have been a teenager then, where I had been researching some scientists in Russia and here in America had to do with time uh, dilation and also a little bit of entanglement, um, quantum mechanics, and some experiments that was being done in Russia. And I was able to replicate a version of that on a very small scale. So what you're going to need is two dice. I like to use the wooden dice, and I would recommend getting some wooden blocks similar to this. And I'm going to show you why I numbered them here in a moment. There's a very particular orientation that you're going to want to turn these in. And when you do this, you're going to feel, like in real time, a push and pull, um, kind of like a magnet. It's uncanny. You're not going to see it well on the camera. You're not going to see anything crazy happen on camera because you have to take my word for it. But if you do this, you're going to feel a magnetic pull. It's like a weak magnet, but it's extremely uh, textile. You're gonna feel it. So the orientation goes like this, and you have to learn this through muscle memory. So the right hand is going to turn the block or horizontally like this, clockwise, one by one. And then the left hand is going to turn the block vertically, like this, clockwise. And then while you're going to do it at the same time, at the same rate, and then once you get that down, you're going to start moving your hands back and forth close to each other, okay? So it's like this. Now, this doesn't look like much to you, but the more I keep doing this, I start to feel this, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a pull right in the middle and a push. So, hang on. Right here, I feel them pushing away. And then right here, they're pulling together. And the more I do this, the stronger it gets. There it is. Ooh, man, I can feel it right on the tips of my fingers, too. And here's the weird part. If I pull these away and I do the exact same motion, I can, you can feel right in between here a pull and then a push. And the further away you go, once you kind of get it, it doesn't matter how far they are, you can still feel it, as long as you're in the same exact motion. Um, if you want to kind of understand what's happening here to a certain degree, you can look up the Hutcherson effect, and might do another video on this, kind of talk about the Russian scientist that I was researching back then. Um, so what's the point of doing this? Well, if you've never actually felt the thing that occultists and witches practitioners have been talking about, energy or prana, whatever you want to call it, the etheric stuff that we screw with all the time when we practice magic. Um, this is a great way of actually feeling it. It's also another interesting technique in entangling some objects. Now, you don't have to use blocks. Once you understand these motions, you can experiment with stones, crystals, and other materials. But yeah, this is a pretty fun experiment for you to try out. I'm going to show you from my side the orientation so you get the idea, and you'll understand why I have the numbers on these if you choose to use wooden blocks. All right, so this is the right block, left block, right hand, left hand. And I placed numbers on here so you can do this. This will be the orientation. You always want the same number facing each other. Okay. Left hand is vertical clockwise. So turn, 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 turn. Okay. And then horizontal clockwise. Right hand. Okay. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay. Once you get this down, and then you're going to go up and down kind of like you're milking a cow. And you're going to try to come as close as possible without them touching. And this can take a while for you to get a knack to it. See, I'm filling that draw together there. And then it's pushing there. Okay. A few other tips and tricks too when you're playing with this experiment. You might have to turn your body facing different directions because it's a possibility you're not going to feel anything. And if that's the case, funny as this may sound, and as woo-woo as this may sound, you might have to face east or face north, face west, or so forth, or somewhere in between, and shift your body in a different direction and try it. You'll find sometimes it's stronger in one direction than it is another. Another thing to keep in mind too, and I kind of go by this in my practice, but right now we're coming up on spring, and the etheric energy, or whatever you want to call it, I noticed that it's a little weaker to harness right before spring. And I mean, I guess if I had to throw a theory at it, it would be because most of the energy is going to life, springing back from winter. So the plants, the animals, and so forth. But that doesn't mean you can't harness it. It just means you have to kind of change your orientation and your location of where you're experimenting. The same thing when I'm practicing magic this time of year. But there's my occult experiment for you to try out. You're most definitely going to feel something once you get the orientation right, and once you start doing it correctly, it's uncanny. So, oh, and one more thing. Oddly enough, while you're doing this, when you put the blocks down, once you really start to feel it, your hands, the tips of your fingers, are going to have that push and pull for quite a few hours. It's almost like your hands become entangled in whatever is happening there. So, all right. If you want me to do a part 2 to this video, I guess hit like and leave a comment. Thanks.